Hello again, this is James Tripp, this is the Hypnosis Without Trance blog, and of course it's the second video I've brought to you in about 3 days. And I'm bringing you another video because I promised I would. I said I would show you another piece of ideodynamic work, and this is what we're about to see. I call it the Ideodynamic Lever. The idea originally, I think, comes from Ernest Rossi, a similar idea, but I've been playing around with it for a while, and what you're going to see here is my take on it, my approach on it. Once again, it's content free, it's very quick, so I've gone through it in a very truncated way, but you'll get a good sense of how it works. Let's have a look at it. Is there an emotional feeling that you're familiar with in life that you would like to reduce? You don't have to say what it is. You can keep it on 100% to yourself. When you think about that now, how familiar is that feeling?
Reasonably, yeah.
Reasonably.
I think about it every day anyway.
Okay, so you think about it every day, it's reasonably familiar. And when you think about it now, and it's reasonably familiar, how strong is that when you think about that now on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being?
I could say, if I really think about it, 8. 8.
Okay, 8. So if 10 were up here and 0 where your hand is, whereabouts would an 8 be? Just notice that feeling and put your hand where that will be for the 8. Okay. Now, is that right? Is that about an 8? Okay, so you can be aware of that. You can notice your hand and notice that feeling at an 8. And is that right? It's about an 8, yes? So how is that?
Oh, no, I don't think
No. Okay, so just let that start to drift down. That's it. Just as quickly as it needs to, and no quicker, so slowly. And you can just close your eyes and notice, okay, that's interesting. And just notice that. And what does that know?
It's silly.
It's silly. What difference does knowing that make?
More fun. Life's more fun.
Life's more fun. Life's more fun. And notice that. And allow that to continue to a wonderful point of conclusion. That's right. And just notice what you notice now. And you can open your eyes just as soon as you are aware of the difference, or of a difference. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
So that was the Ideodynamic Lever, and you can see why I call it the Ideodynamic Lever, because literally we're setting up this connection, and I talked about connection before. I talked about the power of connection when there's real meaning in it, and we're setting up this connection and allowing this lever to modulate the state. Now, very quickly, if you were paying attention, you will have noticed that after I'd had the client in this situation set up the association, I tested it by very lightly just lifting it, almost the suggestion of a lift, and watching her response. If you didn't get that bit, go back and watch it, because you can see as I go to lift, she recoils, she doesn't like it. And this is a sign, this is a way of testing this when you set it up. It's a way of knowing that it's a really solid, genuine connection before then going on to do the work. It's a very simple piece to do. Watch it back over a few times. Pay attention to the subtleties in it with the setup and that kind of thing, and how I really get the association going on. There's something else that happens here. It doesn't just go in a straightforward way where we set up the connection and it drops down. Something else happens, something evolves, and it's client-led, and I go with that. Let me hand you back to me, I guess, from the Changework application set, just saying a little bit more about that unusual thing that happened. And I'll be signing off after that, so I'm going to say goodbye to you now. Look out on Thursday, if you're signed up on the list and you want a copy of the Changework application stuff, you will get that opportunity. I'll be sending you an email on Thursday. Okay, take care. Back to me with a little bit more explanation on how this works. You can take your time. The interesting thing about that with Mary there was this other movement that came in, okay? When doing ideodynamic work, there's two ways of viewing it, or there's two sort of approaches. One of them you ascribe a vocabulary, and one of them you leave the vocabulary open to the client. Now, ascribing a vocabulary means that this finger lifting means yes, or even a finger lifting means yes, and this finger lifting means no, or this action means that this is happening. So this is what it means to ascribe a vocabulary. To leave the vocabulary down to the client to develop means that a movement can just begin. Now, when a movement begins, like this, they don't begin randomly, those movements. They have meaning. Now, the client doesn't necessarily know what the meaning is. But when you see a movement like that, instead of thinking, oh, hang on a second, the hand's supposed to be going like this, the correct response is yes. If I was taking more time with that, rather than doing a quick demo, it would have been yes, and notice that, and allow that. So it's encouragement, and notice that, and allow that. And allow yourself to know that, and what does that know? Now, this knowing frame is something that is very David Grove orientation. It's a very useful little frame. It's a bit digital in some ways, but it's a very useful thing. Because this, and allow that, and let that continue. Because usually, now people can go off into some crazy dances that could go on for some time, but you allow it.